It's the Brian Lehrer Show on WNYC. Good morning again, everyone. Yes, each day during the membership drive, we're doing a quiz in the middle of the show to have a little fun and break up the fundraising and all the serious stuff. Today, it's a 5-question quiz. 5 questions from the United States citizenship test. Could you pass the new, more difficult citizenship test if you were just getting naturalized now? Just answer one question right, and you can choose between a Brian Lehrer Show baseball cap and the new WNYC beach towel. Just 5 questions rather than the usual 10, because our guest quizmaster, Kenneth C. Davis, author of the Don't Know Much About History series of books, is such an interesting explainer about these things, and we're building in time for that. Many of you know how good he is at this if you were listening yesterday. So who wants to play? Our lines are full, so as people finish up, you can get in at 212-433-WNYC. More specifically, Kenneth C. Davis is the author of the Don't Know Much About series of books, including Don't Know Much About History, Don't Know Much About Geography, Don't Know Much About Mythology, among others, and also of other books, including his most recent great short books, A Year of Reading Wisely. Ken, thanks for doing this. Welcome back to WNYC.
It is always a pleasure, Brian. Thank you for having me. I have a feeling it might be a big beach towel day.
Yeah, especially if it's hitting 95, but you can't go to the beach in Midtown Manhattan, so I don't know. At least the Long Island Railroad is running again.
Tar Beach.
So more people can go to the beach. For a little context, did the citizenship test for immigrants who want to become naturalized citizens change in recent years?
Yes, it did change, and I don't remember exactly when. I'm sure somebody will tell us. But the citizenship was changed to make it apparently more difficult, although I'm not sure how difficult it is. It is now more of a multiple choice in the sense that there are sometimes a variety of correct answers as opposed to one single correct answer. I believe it used to be more of a multiple choice type exam, and you have to pass a certain number of 100 questions. I'm not sure if they raised the number that you have to pass correctly. And I do know that many Americans who have looked at this test, citizens, naturalized or born citizens, say, gee, I'm glad I don't have to pass that, because they might have to turn in their passports.
Yeah. So we'll see if a few of those questions that might be challenging can get by our listeners. But, it did change last year. It was 2025. So I don't know if you have a take on if that was a Trump and MAGA world effort to make it harder for immigrants to get citizenship because they want to make it harder for immigration in every way.
I can't say that with any certainty. It certainly seems like a good supposition.
Or in many ways. Yeah. All right. We've got 5 questions from the government section of the test. Here we go. Anne in Red Bank, ready to play?
I am.
Good.
I think.
By the way, I was just in Red Bank a few weeks ago to go to a concert at the Count Basie Center there. Such a nice town. Red Bank. So
this is great. This is a great town. I'll make a plug for it.
Great to have you on. Question 1 in this 5-question quiz: what is the form of government of the United States? They asked that question without giving people an ABC multiple choice. How would you answer the question? What is the form of government of the United States?
Oh my God. This is a great question. I'm drawing.
Just think about intuitively.
Representational.
I think we accept that, Ken, right?
I think that's close enough to be in the ballpark. This is, kind of like hand grenades and horseshoes. If close is good enough. The correct answer would be a republic, first of all, a constitution-based federal republic. That's really a mouthful. Or a representative democracy, and so representative counts. So we'll go with that.
So, Anne,
Thank you very much.
Would you like a WNYC beach towel or a Brian Lehrer Show baseball cap?
A beach towel. I'm near the shore.
Yes, you are there in Red Bank, as well as near the river. So hang on, we're going to send you that beach towel headed toward Red Bank. Let's linger on this for a second, Ken. What's the difference between a democracy and a republic, since either of those answers would have been acceptable on the citizenship test? I sent you this morning an example of a column I read that seems to be a talking point, especially in conservative circles, that we're not a democracy, we're a republic.
Right.
Why does that matter? Why would it divide up politically certain ways?
It kind of seems to me like a sophomoric debate question that some of these guys who seem to really want to let you think they know a lot more than you do seize on this. Of course, the real difference between a democracy and republic is the difference between Greek and Latin. Democracy comes from the Greek, meaning of the people, republic coming from the Latin, of the people. A republic, in the purest sense, of course, democracy means everyone has a vote, and pure democracy means everyone gets together and makes a choice. And, if you have the sixth grade class voting on a pizza party or an ice cream party, everybody gets a vote. Representative democracy is what a republic is, and certainly the United States is that, in which we vote for representatives who then present our what we think of as our views in the government. And this is, of course, why Benjamin Franklin famously told the story after he came out of the Constitutional Convention in 1787. A woman asked him on the street, so it said, Dr. Franklin, do we have a monarchy or a republic? And he said famously, a republic if you can keep it.
And then Trump said, a Republican, if you could keep it. I'm kidding. A republic, if you can keep it, one of the most famous quotes from
But just to go back to for a second, we could spend a lot of time on this question, of course, Brian. What is the name of de Tocqueville's famous book of the 1830s? Not a republic in America, democracy in America. What is the period of the 1830s known as in historical terms? Jacksonian democracy. James Madison, who really formed the first political party, called them the Democratic Republicans. He was recognizing that this
both things.
Eventually it was transformed into the Republican Party. The Democratic Party. The Federalist morphed over many years, eventually becoming more aligned with the modern Republican Party.
Jennifer in Brooklyn, ready to play?
Yes.
All right. Question 2. Name one thing the U.S. Constitution does. That's how general the question is on the citizenship test. Name one thing the U.S. Constitution does.
Divides power among the three branches.
I think that is an acceptable answer. Ken, do you agree? Right?
I agree completely. The government would tell you the correct answers are forms the government. It is the operating system for the United States government. It defines the powers of the government, certainly does that. It defines the parts of the government, which I think the caller was saying, and it certainly protects the rights of the people, especially with the addition of the first 10 amendments called the Bill of Rights and successive amendments. This is why the Constitution in that test is, we didn't ask this question, but the Constitution is called the supreme law of the land. And when we go to the Supreme Court, of course, we are asking these justices to define what the Constitution means when they wrote it, what it means today, and of course we have lots of debates over that. But the Constitution, of course, is the operating system of the United States government, and it's been changed a number of times because the country has changed a number of times.
So, Jennifer, in the competition between a Brian Lehrer Show baseball cap and a WNYC beach towel, which would you like?
I'm a political science professor who got over my willingness to be embarrassed for that beach towel.
One beach towel coming to Brooklyn. Hang on, we'll take your address off the air. Ted on Staten Island is up next. I have a feeling this may be the hardest question of the 5 that we have. But Ted, ready to play?
Oh, I'm thoroughly ready to be embarrassed.
How many amendments does the U.S. Constitution have? Let's say within three. I'll give you that. Within three.
I want to say 40.
Ooh,
40.
Sorry, Ted.
40's a
I
bit
can't take it.
way off.
And the answer is 27. So this is an example of why did they put it in here, right? If somebody came from, pick your country, and has gone through all the steps to become a citizen of the United States, why does the government now think they should know exactly that there are 27 amendments to the U.S. Constitution?
I think it is an important question in the sense that the framers of the Constitution back in 1787 knew that they were not writing a perfect document, even though they wrote in the preamble to form a more perfect union. And that's why they included a way to change and alter the Constitution. It was a high bar that they set, and that's why there have only been 27 amendments, of literally hundreds of proposed amendments to the Constitution. But going back to our democracy and republic question for a second, Brian, I think it's important to note that I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of those amendments relate to who can vote and elections, which is, to me, an indication that the country has become far more democratic since 1790 than it was when those men wrote that document in 1787, in the summer of 1787.
So I know you'd have a lot to say about the gutting of the Voting Rights Act recently, which was based on the 15th Amendment, and we will leave that there as something, that we're talking about a lot.
Yeah.
About on other segments of the show. We're going to go on for time to question 4 in this 5-question quiz, and Beth on the Lower East Side. Hi, Beth. Ready to play?
I am, Brian. Thank you.
Okay, so this is another numbers question, but it's more likely, I think, that you'll get it right. How many voting members are in the House of Representatives?
Geez. Oh, God.
Hard enough question, I guess.
It is.
Let's say
yes, I'm
within,
like an idiot if I don't get
within
it.
25.
Okay, within 25, I'd say 340.
Sorry,
That's
Beth.
a little
it's
low.
435. And the reason that I asked this one, Ken, is that the number hasn't increased with the population. And this is an issue, right? There are more people in each congressional district. It has increased a few times with the population, but not recently.
No.
And so there are more people represented by one member of Congress than there were before, and some people think that's not good.
Many people think it's not good, and many people think that's one of the fundamental reforms we should have, which is to increase the number of representatives in the House. In 1790, each district represented about 30,000 constituents. Today, that number is on average 770,000.
Wow.
So that's huge. And of course, it means that in some districts, in low population states, that might just have one congressman, they represent a much smaller number than, for instance, a district in California or New York, where
Right.
the numbers would be much, much higher. So this is a fundamental question. It has not been changed. I believe that number was set in 1912 and hasn't changed by law since 1920.
And it's another one that makes me scratch my head. Even somebody clued in, I would say, because I know she's called before and is clued in on a lot of politics. Somebody like Beth on the Lower East Side wouldn't get it. They expect a naturalizing citizen to know the exact number of members of the House of Representatives, but there it is on that test. One more to go.
It would be It would be a pretty much something you learn in Civics 101, which they do still teach, and teachers are trying to bring it back much more intensely.
Dan and Bayonne, ready to take our last question?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, I'm ready.
And we're going to stay in the House of Representatives with why do U.S. representatives serve shorter terms than U.S. senators?
because of the census.
Yes, that determines who, but of course there are 2-year terms for all House members, regardless of the census.
Right.
6 years
And
for
6 years for
senators.
Senate.
You want to take any other shot at it? All right. Sorry, Dan. But again, one of the reasons we're doing this segment at all, and we've, given away some prizes and some people have not gotten the right answers, is to show how tough the current citizenship test is. The answer that they give is to more closely follow public opinion. In other words, a senator represents everybody in a whole state. A representative is supposed to be closer to the people because they just represent people in a district for the most part. So, Ken, give us your last take on that, and then we're out of time for today. We'll do another one tomorrow.
That's exactly right. In 1787, they set up a bicameral legislation and legislature so that one group, the House of Representatives, would represent smaller groups of people, and they would be essentially, as the answer says, closer to public opinion and more answerable. The senators were supposed to be, as I think George Washington described it, the place where the coffee would cool in the saucer and they could debate and talk about things a little bit longer, and they wouldn't be so heavily influenced by immediate public opinion.
Right.
And
I talked about the size of the districts, but really more accurately, as you were saying, it's every 2 years. If the senators are in every 6 years, they don't have to think about running for re-election as much. But running for re-election every 2 years, as the House members do, it does keep them closer to the people in a certain sense. So that's the balance they were trying to achieve.
And we realistically know that they're all running all the time. So.
Historian Kenneth C. Davis is going to be
Brian.
back with us tomorrow for one more membership drive quiz. That was great. Thanks for today.
Thank you.
WNYC's journalism and storytelling is heard by millions of passionate listeners. Sponsors of our programming gain our listeners' attention and their respect. Learn about how your organization can support WNYC and WNYC Studios at sponsorship.wnyc.org.